Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Clementi with LexJet. Today, we're talking about how HP Latex printers, the right adhesive back material, and the right workflow can open up doors for new profits and creativity in your print business. Joining me today are two of the best in the business, Chris Boyer, HP's Latex printer expert, and Bobby Cagle from Flexi Complete Rip Software. Chris, Bob, welcome. Great to have you guys here. Let's dive right in. So Chris, for anyone who might be new to HP Latex technology, what makes latex such a great fit for adhesive back printing applications?
Okay, yeah, really great question. So a couple things, we kind of have it broken down into a few segments. Number one, I would say compatibility. So in terms of compatibility, we can print on, PVCs, non-PVC products, anything from floor graphics to building wraps, anything for vehicle graphics, traffic signage, with Flexi, with the Bobby software. So there's a lot of options on the compatibility side. In addition to that, inks are fully cured after they come off the printer. So if you're in that vehicle graphic business, you can laminate and install right away. There's something called overcoat, which is something that we have in our Generation 4 inks. So what that really means is if somebody's, maybe producing a sticker or decal, something that's temporary, it's really meant as an anti-scratch coating. It doesn't necessarily replace lamination, but can give a customer an option not to laminate in many cases. Then of course, sustainability. We talk about sustainability a lot. And with latex inks, there's no, hazardous air pollutants that come off the ink.
That's amazing. Yeah, I do love the overcoat on or off feature. I think that's such a great addition that you guys have put into that latex ink to give that user that ability to do that. And Bobby, you can turn that on and off in your rip, correct?
Yeah, that's something that we added a while back to be able to turn that off and on. I know a lot of customers used to, on the older versions of that printer, before you had that, it could cause some issues. And so that's been a great option to add that.
That's awesome. And there's so many types of adhesive back graphics. I mean, windows, walls, floors, vehicles, you named it pretty much. Which of these do you see, Chris, having the most success with using the latex technology?
Yeah, it really depends on the customer vertical. We have customers in, the vehicle graphic business, the decor business. Some customers just printing wallpaper. So I'll take vehicle graphics as you call it a major business or major vertical that we're involved in. So number one, workflow, being able to print, laminate, and install right away gives us a very good edge over, other ink, call it competitors or other ink technologies. Stretchability, that's very complicated in terms of if you're doing complex curves, bumpers, anything that needs like a 200% plus stretch. You can do that with latex without you losing color density. Low and predictable operating costs. If you're doing fleet work, you need to be competitive in your pricing. You can really, drill down extremely accurately with latex. And of course, sustainability again, being able to work in an environment that has no hazardous air pollutants coming off the ink, and, in our opinion, is very important.
So now you have, HP has several latex printer options. I know roll to roll, and I've been using them for years. They're great machines. And now you add that hybrid to the mix. Can you break down those models and which ones are best suited for the adhesive-backed applications, if there are any call outs that you need to make?
Yeah, for sure. No, it's interesting because, one thing I always tell customers, you don't need to spend more money with HP in terms of, product quality, meaning what you produce as a, print service provider, right? We use the same ink set in all of our series of products. So, really what happens is when you go higher in our line, what happens is, it gets faster and, less expensive to operate, right? So, we've got our low volume printer line, which includes our 630 series. 630 series, we have bundled with, SAI Flexi Bobby software, where it's an all-in-one solution. As much as we say that's our entry-level device, it's not built entry-level. It's really built for a customer who's looking for, they don't want to invest separately for RIP. They just want to, pay one price, get everything in the box. Then we have our 730, 830 series, where we give customers the option really to choose what they want in terms of RIP. It does come with a 6-month bundle, but after that bundle is complete, you can choose your RIP option. So we're really meant for larger shops. A couple differences with 730, 830 series, it's faster, comes with an inline spectrophotometer, and there's some other features as well that's kind of embedded. It's really meant for, I'll call it, a higher volume user. Then there's kind of like, what I would like to call it our flagship hybrid, right? This has been a game changer for us. Our 530 series, it's a hybrid model. So what that means is it prints both rigid and flexible, but all of these models I've mentioned, they all print flexible media, very much equally. The differences that we're having is speed and operational cost. Then if we go higher down the line, we do offer, 3.2 meter or 10-foot options as well.
Beautiful. And I was actually using the white ink on the W series for the 630W, 730W, 830W. I've seen that. And also on your hybrid, it comes standard, correct?
That is absolutely correct. Yeah, it comes standard with our hybrid product.
Yeah, and that actually, we've been using it on window clear material, LexJet's clear low tech really is a nice partner product with that for windows for just cleanly on and off, easy to mount window solutions. And that white is so nice to be able to control that. You guys through in the rip, you can change the opacity, right, Bobby? Then choose a different opacity on the ink for the white.
Yeah, one of the things we've done is we've really improved the white ink options so that you can add the white ink layer without even having to create a separate layer in either Illustrator or Flexi or anything like that. You drop the file into the production manager and you just tell it to put white under color, and there's your white layer. And we have a slider bar to slide to adjust. You want 100%, you want 50%, however much you want.
That's great.
Makes it very easy.
That's awesome. So as you know, I mean, obviously you guys have the printer and the RIP partnership there. That's great. LexJet has the media that brings that to the table. And, I just want to go through some of the most, I would say commonly used products for windows, walls, floors, and fleet. So I would say windows, we are going through a lot of, LexJet sells Lintech now, which is a great product that they have a optically clear solution. That's a polyester film that basically is, you can't even see it on the glass. You wet mount it. It's really easy to use when you're using a mounting solution, and it works awesome with the latex ink when you're mounting that window. So you can actually do with the white on the HP, you can do a second surface mount. And Bobby's RIP, Flexi will basically, throw the white behind the ink. So you can print the ink first, reversed, and then you print the white behind that. And you can actually use that to face mount right to the window. And then you're looking at it from the outside, the correct way, but the positioning of the materials on the inside of the window. So that really helped us when you guys put that white ink in there and made it so simple through the RIP to do that. I think the fleet, we've done a lot of work with HP's product, the Optimal GRP, which is a gray removable repositionable product that does fleet graphics. So if you're doing Sprinter vans, that sort of thing, using a latex printer, like you said, the ability to stretch that material and go semi-convex curves around that type of vehicle, that's a really cost-effective way to do it. And then walls, our solvent print and stick has been just a staple product to use through the latex printer. And now we're even getting into fabrics too. So I don't know if you've seen any of the Elements line of fabrics, Chris, but, and your printers, I don't know if you've worked with, you probably have, because you know the printers very well, but, the fabric that we've brought on Elements, you guys have the ability to run that, with the best of all the other printers. Honestly, I think it's one of the easiest printers used to make fabric displays, and people are using that now to do SEGs and stitching, silicone edges into the fabric and using those aluminum channel frames.
Yeah, we're seeing more fabric in like backlets, frontlets. We're seeing a lot of people that are looking for more environmental options, and that's one of the, back to that whole reason why latex, right? The compatibility aspect is huge, and being able to print on porous and non-porous fabrics is definitely a big win for any customer that's looking for a high value application.
And for something demanding like vehicle, which LexJet's brands that line up are Arlon and Avery and General Formulations. So we carry all three of those for casts. Arlon's Omni is great. General Formulations has their Automark series, and they have the floating adhesive that basically slips across the surface of the car. So it's kind of some really neat products to choose from there. I guess the best thing you could do is just talk to us about, if you're looking to get into that type of situation with your vehicle graphics, talk to us about the differences between those and call us and pick our brains about that. So on the other end, for short-term removable applications like, event graphics or seasonal promotions, I think, we've got some really nice calendar products that are, cost effective, but really high quality. So, Bobby, once you've chosen the media with LexJet, the RIP software really takes over. I mean, what are some of the key settings or adjustments in Flexi Complete that really help to optimize the output for adhesive-backed materials?
Well, one of the best things that we do, especially with the HP printers, and this is kind of unique within the printer world, is that HP actually has profiles that they've had created that is on their website. And these profiles are downloaded directly into the printer. So whether you're using Avery or 3M or General Formulations, those profiles are loaded into the printer. And then when you connect the Flexi software to the printer, all those profiles are instantly uploaded into the software itself. So you're not actually having to go in and search for profiles from different websites. All the profiles are basically HP to the printer, from the printer to our software. And then once you do that, it's just a matter of selecting the profile that matches the material and hitting the rip and print button. And it makes it that easy.
Yeah, that's nice that HP's got that syncing ability. I think a lot of people appreciate that on the user side when they're looking for that material and trying to get it to work the first time. Because, the biggest thing is trying to get that color match consistency, and HP's, panel matching when they're doing vehicle wraps and that sort of thing is really nice. So the color accuracy is critical, obviously, especially for brand work and retail installation. So how does Flexi really, help maintain the consistent color when switching between different adhesive vinyls or finishes?
Well, the one thing it is with all the different profiles. So, and HP has hundreds of profiles. And a lot of customers will pick one profile and they print everything they do on that one profile. They never change. And for some customers, that's fine. But those that are really wanting more color accuracy, what happens in the RIP, in Flexi's RIP, is once you've selected a profile, it is calculating the ink limit. So how much of magenta, yellow, cyan needs to be laid down for that specific material with that specific white point. So we're controlling how the ink's laid down. And then once you control that, and that's going to give you better cost analysis. So because if you're printing with 100% ink, you're wasting too much ink, when maybe you can print with 70% of the ink and still get the exact same color. All that is part of the profile and part of our settings on controlling the printer itself. And then once we've got that done, I mean, that's you're 90% of the way there. And so from there, you just got to make sure matte material actually uses less ink than, say, a gloss material. Gloss material can kind of hold more ink because of the surface tension. Whereas if you put too much ink on a matte material, it's going to start to bleed. And so our software, along with the profile, controls all those settings so that you can get consistent color, whether you're printing on matte material, banner material, or gloss vinyl.
Okay. And, like you mentioned before, that quick tool for the white production, is there any other tools in that workflow that Flexi Complete has that helps operators save time or reduce waste when you're running multiple jobs back to back?
Yeah, we have there's several things. So in the production manager side of it, which is the RIP portion of it, we actually have the ability, you can load multiple jobs in there, duplicate the copies, and then nest them all together. So you can add 3 different jobs and say, I want 5 of this one, 7 of this one, 8 of this one, and then select them all and tell it to nest them, and it will arrange them the best way that it can to print them on the media width that you have. The other thing that Flexi does is Flexi is working in conjunction with the printer consistently. So it knows exactly when you've loaded a 54-inch material or 48-inch material, it knows exactly how wide you can actually print on that material. And it returns that value to the software. So the software then will nest the files based on the width of that material.
Oh, nice. So it doesn't even have any user intervention there to tell it what size it is. It's great. So let me ask you this. I know that a lot of our customers are interested in possibly doing their own color profiling or handling their own color information. Chris, do you guys have anything in the printer side of things that helps with color profiling at all?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So if somebody's looking at our 730, 830 series, we do have a built-in HP spectrophotometer. So if somebody wanted to create their own color profile, they can absolutely do that. Just to maintain consistency, one thing, just want to quickly touch on a couple things, so number one, we always have to maintain printhead health, always making sure printheads are in check and not overused, making sure that, there's a current color calibration for that, media that they're using. And that can be used, that's where that, spectrophotometer is going to come in. And Bobby touched on it, was the media profile, choosing the correct media profile that you can just do from the front panel of the device.
So Bobby, that'll sink in when they build their own from the HPs. It'll pull right into that software, your Flexi Complete.
Sure will. Now, our software is one of the few that actually has the built-in color profile wizard.
Oh, nice.
So it's basically a color profile wizard that if you want to make your own profile, you have a media and you want to specifically dial that in specifically for your printer, your environment, your media, because different environments can affect colors differently. If you're in Florida where it's hot and humid, your printer may print one way, but if you're up in the northeast or something where it's cold and maybe dry, the printer may print differently up there. So you can make your own profile with our profile wizard, and it's really a step-by-step process. It basically, you click one thing, it tells you what to print, you print it, and then the onboard spectra will measure it, and it's really a very easy step-by-step process.
So if the HP customer is using a latex printer with an onboard spectro, they don't even need to buy a third-party spectra. They could just use the HP Wizard or the HP Spectra. Oh, that's great. Okay. Saves the customer another purchase instead of buying their own piece. So that's great. Yep. So Chris, when you print on specialty or textured adhesive-backed materials, like, products that are meant to be slip rated right off the printer. I could think of a couple like Panorama Walk-in Wall by Continental Graphics. Jessup has a Catwalk and a bunch of their sidewalk materials that have the surface that's textured. What best practices do you recommend for maintaining the consistent quality and performance on those products?
Yeah, I'll go back to Bobby's comment. And number one is making sure the right media profile is being chosen. There's, if you go to our media locator, there's a lot of parameters that are built into that media profile, and that's going to determine, how that media prints. Then the second part, and, back to what Bobby said, is it's making sure that there's a current color calibration for that media. So if the printer's not currently calibrated for that media, utilize Flexi, run the calibration, and make sure that's current, and you're going to get phenomenal output.
That's awesome. And I know you guys have really easy take-up systems on those printers too, and it helps, make that material flow. If you're doing roll-to-roll printing, those take-ups are great. And on the fly, you're not losing much to your media either. So Bobby, I got a question for you. When you have users start getting creative and doing contour cut decals, layered graphics, spot workflow, how does Flexi Complete simplify that process?
Yeah, we've got a lot of different things that will do that, and some of it's depending on which cutter they have. We have the ability to run, whether it be the HP cutter, a Suma cutter, a Graphtec cutter, any of those, along with their barcode workflow. And one of the great things that HP has done with that HP cutter, you can print an entire roll of material with job after job after job, all different jobs, and each job will have a barcode assigned to it. That barcode, then you can take the roll directly out of the printer, throw it into the vinyl cutter, and as it goes through, it'll find the barcode, read it, cut that job, go to the next one, and it'll go back through that whole roll of material and cut it job by job. Makes it easy.
Yeah.
And then the one other thing that Flexi has, because print and cut workflow is really that's our bread and butter. That's what we really are known for. We have the Flexi design side of it, which is part of Flexi Complete, where you actually pull in a graphic, and in 3 clicks of a mouse, you can add a contour cut to just about any graphic you want. And then from there, you send it through, and it automatically adds the registration marks. It automatically adds the barcode, and then sends it over to the printer. You take it out, you throw it in the cutter, read the barcode, and it cuts it. It's just, it's a very easy workflow that we've made sure that we're trying to make it as simple as we can for the customer, because they want to get that job done, get it out, and that's when they start making money. I
can attest to that. I love having that Flexi tool, the design program. just taking a JPEG in there and making it something contoured. It's incredible how easy it is to knock out that background and draw that cut line automatically. Your software just finds the pixels and does it. So really cool option. Kudos to you. And obviously the barcode, I don't know. I can't tell you how many times I've loaded a sheet the wrong way, started the cut, and then it just cuts the opposite pattern because I loaded it the incorrect way. If you put barcodes, your barcode servers are great because you put it on either side and you load it. It scans the barcode and knows exactly which way to orient the cut. So that saves a lot of headaches. Trust me. Yep.
Well, and then one other thing to make sure that everybody knows about is the cutters, the HP cutter. It will actually create the contour cuts. It has the design capability as well as the output, and it will run the 630 printer and an HP vinyl cutter without having to buy any other software. It's just like the stuff that comes with the 630, but this actually has the ability to run a vinyl cutter as well. I believe it'll actually run the 630 and the 730. There is a slight upgrade price to have it run the 830 if you want to go to the higher end machines.
So, Bobby, you mentioned the print and cut bundle from HP with their printers and their cutters. Now, what Flexi, is there anything different about Flexi that they get with that combination versus just a regular HP printer buying it by itself?
Yeah, the 630 printer, which is the one that we come bundled with, it is actually just the production manager. So a lot of people will get that and think that they're getting the full version, but they actually are that's our RIP. So you can bring files in, you can drop them in, you can add the white, you can add multiple copies, you can resize them, but you actually don't have any design capabilities. There's no cutting capabilities in the one that comes with the 630. You can, there is the ability to take that version and upgrade it to one that it would be the HP Sign and Print that then would run any vinyl cutter and then any of the HP printers that you can do that. And then one other thing that we also are offering on the 730 and 830s, since we are not coming in the box with those, you actually can get a free year of Flexi 730, 830 version to go along with that printer if you would like to request it. All they have to do is request it from LexJet, and we will get it on the way to them.
I'm sure customers love to hear that. That's great. So, Chris, let me ask you, HP Latex printers, they're obviously known for, like you mentioned, versatility. How are the customers using that flexibility to expand into new areas like obviously window films, textured wall graphics, short run type of decals?
Yeah. Flexibility, versatility is kind of number one. We like to call those high value applications. And, during the conversation, we named a few, so we talked about window films. We can do underflood, overflood, 3-layer, 5-layer, and that's all being managed with Flexi in terms of workflow. That's huge. Before, if you had to put together a 5-layer print, you're doing multiple layers of vinyl to put that together, and it doesn't look really professional, right? Mm-hmm. We talked about wallpaper. There's a material called asphalt art that we can literally print on asphalt art for asphalt or concrete applications. We can do building wraps. And these are all kind of unique applications, not because of the printer, but it's because of the ink. That's where the value comes from latex. And, one conversation we always love having with customers is how can we grow your business? And that's the conversation. You guys are having conversations about the media and all these different media options. And we're talking about the ink set. We're talking about the RIP, the workflow, and how you can use those applications to bring more value to your customer.
That's great. And Bobby, as shops grow into these new adhesive-backed markets, are there any simple RIP adjustments or templates that they can use to keep their setup consistent across the materials?
Well, one of the things they can do to make sure they get consistent prints from one job to the next is we actually have the ability to create a preset in the software. So you go in, you make all your settings, and you save that as a preset. So that way, when you're printing from one media to the next, you just click a drop-down menu, select that preset, and you're printing with the same settings you printed last week on that same material.
Nice. And Chris, if you can just point out some of the little tips that you can give for HP Latex users that can try to keep their consistent process together with their maintenance on those machines, what do you usually tell people to do? What kind of tips do you have for maintaining that?
Yeah, and it's more kind of workflow related, and setting up a standard inside your shop is, ultimately what you want to do. And with our printers, and we kind of mentioned it before, we're looking at print head health. We're making sure that we're choosing the right media profiles. and we're making sure that there's a current calibration in place for the media that you're using. And if you follow those steps, you're going to, be able to, get consistent color, especially if you're doing panel work. But that would be like, I would say the top three that the customer should be looking at.
Yeah. And just some tips on media too. I mean, I think for installation, it's always good to, if you're not familiar with something, you always want to take a piece and put it up on the wall, especially on the surface, getting that installer to use it. Making sure that, you're running through all the things that you would normally test. How strong is this adhesive? Is it removable? If you're putting it on something that you care about, you don't want to have it ruined over the years. So there's things that we can help you with, as a supplier, Lexia will help you with. Just have a discussion with us as a customer, and we can point you in the right direction there. And Bobby, if you want, if someone wants to actually instantly improve their adhesive, back printing workflow with Flexi Complete, what's a simple feature or habit that they should start using today?
Well, really just creating what we've done is made Flexi easy to make your basic signs, to get that workflow going, to start. How do you start making money quickly with that printer and software workflow? Because that printer doesn't do you any good if you can't start getting output out and making money with it. So what you've got to do is just go in, you can create the text, you can add a cut, and just hit the rip and print workflow. It's just a very easy, seamless workflow. The other thing is, if you need, one of the big things is training on the software. Okay, you've got a printer, you've got software. The printer, for the most part, after you've run a couple of rolls on it, you know what to do as far as loading the printer. 90% of your time is going to be figuring out how to get a job from the software to the printer. So
that's true.
Being able to work with that printer, and we've tried to make it an easy print and cut workflow. So you create the file, you hit rip and print, you send it to the printer and throw it in the cutter, and it just works. And that's one of the things HP's worked really well with SAI in making sure that we run that printer correctly. And we've spent a lot of time, and HP's been a great partner with us for making sure that print and cut workflow it works, because if it doesn't work, then you're not making money.
Absolutely. And I can definitely attest to both of your products here. HP's got great, easy to use printers, and Flexi's got great, easy to use software. So to wrap it up, what's one Adhesive-Backed application for each of you to kind of give me a little bit of insight on, or our customers' insight on the trends that you see people are offering now for the best opportunities for profit and growth right now?
My vote would be window films. You can get super creative. You can do custom. You can do kind of that 3M Facero look. You walk into any sort of retail, even office spaces, you're seeing, these custom window films. I'm even seeing it in residential. Not to say that we're targeting residential customers. I'm seeing that in residential for shower applications. It's quite amazing. But these are all, again, high value, where you can charge, and Bobby keeps mentioning it, like high dollars per square foot, where you're making margin on the product, right? It's not a commodity application, it's specialty, and there's tons and tons of profit in that application.
Awesome. Bobby, what do you think?
So my vote's going to be for the interior wall graphics. Some of the materials you were mentioning on the interior walls, you can actually, wallpaper is a huge market. And when you can custom make your own wallpaper, put anything you want on it, put a kid's name on it, put, anything you want, and you have the ability to, the great thing about the wallpaper, it goes up so easy. You don't hardly even need a squeegee. You just stick it on the wall and rub your hand over it, and it's up. And again, the material's not very expensive, but you can charge the same dollar per square foot that you do for vehicle wraps and window installs, but with a lot less expensive material. So,
and you're always going big, right? Walls are huge. So you're
huge, and you're going to make more money per square foot, and you can customize it. And so I think that's where I would really focus on a lot of the interior graphics versus, vehicle wraps are great, but it's hard to wrap a car. It's not hard to wrap a wall.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Flat surface is way easier than a convex surface. Well, listen,
Exactly.
Chris and Bobby, thank you guys so much for joining me. It's been a blast, and everybody watching, thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any questions about HP Latex printers, LexJet adhesive-backed materials, or Flexi Complete Rib software, give us a call at 800-4LexJet. And for all your printer, media, and workflow needs, be sure to visit lexjet.com.